Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, young entrepreneurs in our country have the most important opportunity to make a difference. When I heard that some of you are employing between 7 and 10 people, I want to congratulate you, because that is the way to go. We have decided as a people that we will do less business as government and leave the private sector to lead development of this country. That definitely is my declared position, because governments everywhere in the world cannot be good business people. It can only mean that we create the environment for entrepreneurs and even big business to really do the necessary. Because the biggest challenge we are faced with as a nation is unemployment. Unemployment for our youth. Every year we are churning out, our public universities, together the private universities, are churning out young graduates in their thousands. And they only to find that they have to do a bit of tarmacking when in fact they are so well qualified. We must congratulate ourselves as Kenyans, because over the years we have been able to educate so many of our people. But even as we do so, we do recognize a challenge of unemployment. Imagine in this country, it is very difficult to even quantify the level of unemployment. That is how enormous this challenge is. And therefore, you have chosen not to be Route 11 movers, if you like, but you decided instead of being job seekers, you want to be job creators. And this is the all-important challenge. Going forward, in order to realize our vision 2030, I'm so grateful that the architects of this infrastructure going forward have decided to adopt what I spoke about in 2007, that we need to be able to embrace a 24-hour working economy. And this concept is now been realized. President Kibaki did announce that our port of Mombasa was going to be fully operational. It will be working 24 hours. And even supermarkets like Nakumatt here decided that people and the smart shoppers actually go to shop at 4 o'clock in the morning when the rest of us are asleep. It is possible. What I had in mind was the fact that in order to be able to generate further employment, we need, first of all, foreign direct investment, FDI, and no investor will come to an economy that is characterized by chaos, and that explains that why we had to take very drastic measures in order to stabilize the nation state called Kenya after the last general election, because everybody it happened. And because without stability, without peace in any nation, you cannot even begin to talk about job creation and the rest of it. And therefore now, my vision is that when we get over the next hurdle, and we're all getting prepared for it, because Kenyans have decided that this being an election year, it is not going to be business as usual. It is going to mean the young people of this country are going to take the destiny of their country into their own hands. And once we get over it, what we are thinking is that we're going to have to facilitate the great majority of our young people who are willing not to wear ties and do things, to go out there. We have spoken of places like Konza, ICT City. We have spoken about other challenges that are going to provide the opportunity for this economy to grow. We must therefore aim at a double-digit GDP growth if we are going to begin to quantify our unemployment rate. And talking about Kenya, the same can be said of countries in the region. The East African Community, COMESA, countries mainly of the South, if you like, the sub-Saharan countries of Africa, and the bigger configuration that is referred to as South-South cooperation. All those countries, and a lot of them, are therefore beginning to look forward and be able to join the category of nations that have been referred to as BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. We need to recognize the possibility that Africa, the 21st century, actually is a century for Africa. Therefore, I feel so encouraged to see you this evening. Young entrepreneurs willing to make a difference. You want to stand in the gap and be able to be a master of your own destiny. And so we will, to the extent possible, be able to provide the necessary environment without which you cannot realize your full potential. And I suppose that is why I'm here tonight, to be able to discuss with you in a very frank manner. Therefore, it is not election time yet. Mr. Opio, you're talking about already declared that is going to be the candidate. Watch this space, because you're going to come out in a very significant manner and present our agenda for this country. I did that in 2007, and I'm happy that some of that is actually, in fact, a lot of what we did in our manifesto did contribute to the manifesto of the Grand Coalition government. And I hope you realize that what we're going through in this country is actually started as Africa's first Grand Coalition government. People were pessimistic. They thought the coalition was going to collapse within 6 months, but it has actually lived right through to the election period itself. And we know that with all the misgivings or challenges of any coalition government, we've been able to deliver something as Grand Coalition government. Of course, at the individual level, we are gearing ourselves up for the next challenge, and that is this election. And therefore, I want to invite you to walk this journey with me through Wiper Democratic Movement, because we will wipe out poverty in this country. We want to be able to wipe out unemployment. We want to be able to wipe out the tears that actually afflicted us immediately after the last general election. I know there are people who are saying, Wiper, what is this Wiper thing? We need to wipe out corruption out of this country. And this is a way to go, so that we allow the business people to operate in an atmosphere that is going to give great advantage to all of us. Please, I started by saying East Africans, Kenyans and East Africans. And I know that we have given you the tools as young Kenyan entrepreneurs. The world, we expect you to be world beaters in as similar manner, really, in accordance with already established conditions, even by marathon runners. You know, the world knows it is useless to compete against a Kenyan marathon runner. We think it is possible for you in business to be able to be there in the midst of it, create jobs, create opportunities for yourselves, create wealth for yourselves and for this nation. Because we must be bold about it. It used to be, although I'm a social democrat myself, by declared policy position. This is why the Constitution, if you look at it, the Kenyan Constitution, that is now in place, I'm so proud of it. And I really pity those people who like to call me watermelon and like to do things like that. You know, I really pity them, because this is a document that I can wave at any level, and I stood for it firmly. But of course, they misunderstood the need, because that is me, the diplomat in me, wanting to create consensus with the church who are opposed to it. And then they said this vice president is green outside and red, red inside. Well, I come to enjoy that, because it must be that a leader must be a consensus builder, and so that we can all move in some direction. But I never wavered in my support for this document, because it does give the instruments that are important in order to move this country forward as a social democracy. The safety nets for the poor, for instance. The declaration that shelter is a basic human right for every Kenyan. This is very, very, very important. And there are very few countries in the world that have been able to come up with a progressive constitution as a Kenyan constitution. I think I must stop there, because I did ask Wilfred Opio how much time I had. You know, I can go on forever, because I belong to that caliber of Kenyans who like to say with remarks, and they've been talking to you for 1 hour. So I will be ready to take a few of your questions, but I think that in terms of access to the market, West FM have already given you a platform. We must really give them a big clap, because this is it. So you have no excuse to say, how do I market my